Hello, this is Milton Johnson, your financial coach. Welcome to my Facebook Live social media, whether you're looking at Facebook Live, YouTube, or Instagram. Just blessed just to have you here. Been an engaging challenge for the 30 days. Been blessed for those that have come aboard and those that have watched in my replay. It's definitely been an honor to have you aboard. And if someone don't know me, I said my name is Milton Johnson, and I help professionals and small business owners increase their savings and their investments, reducing their debt, and so that they can reach their financial goals and retirement goals through my roadmap to freedom method. So this is an awesome experience, just watching the comments, listening to you guys. I've been excited to hear what you say and what you want to hear. Continue just to reach out to me as well for the future. Some topics that resonate with you and you would like to hear some answers about them. Definitely feel free to DM me, or you can put it in the chat as well. I definitely want to hear from you. And today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I think is very needed, especially if you're in a marriage or in some type of relationship and you're living together. There are some money issues that affect marriages and relationships on a very big scale. And this is very traumatic because money, or the lack of money, issues, fussing and fighting, that usually, depending on the years, is either the number one or second cause for divorce. So infidelity is usually the first. Fighting on money is two, and some years it went vice versa. So that still is the one or two. That just is too high. So the thing is, I would like to do is get the money issues out of the way. That increases the chances of your marriage or relationship lasting. And that's what I want to do. I like to see prospering marriages. I like to see relationships grow. If you're not married, grow so that you eventually can get married. So this is one thing I would like to definitely talk about. And hopefully this can give you some ideas and something to ponder about in your relationship. And one of the things that really hurt a lot of relationships, if you have too much debt. I always like for couples, before they even get together, to talk about their debt. And this is one subject that seems to be very, very touchy. I don't want her to know the debt that I have. I don't want him to know what I have. He didn't create the debt. She didn't create the debt. So it's really like none of their business. But this is something that you need to be talking about, especially if you have a very high amount of debt. And if you're going into a marriage, you want to be open in your marriage. You don't want secrets to start falling out once you get married. You don't want to find out that this person, your spouse had a lien that was placed on a house or you're responsible for. Or, I see this a lot, that they have back child support. When I'm doing taxes, I see that a lot. The spouse, I didn't know he had that much child support. Or the husband may say, well, I didn't know she had that much student loan debt. And so that creates a lot of frustration and a lack of trust because that wasn't discussed in the beginning. And that leads up to a lot of arguments, especially when it's time to pay. Just imagine your spouse wasn't expecting you to pay child support or back child support. And now you was planning to go on these trips or planning to do different things. And because of this unexpected expense, you can't do those things because you were unaware that they were involved. Or your wife had a high student loan debt, and now you didn't figure those payments into your budget, and now there's an argument because you was expecting it to be a certain way. Your financial picture is now changing more than you expected. And that's the thing about it. You have an expectation. I think everyone brings expectations. And then when those expectations are not met or something causes them to change, it creates tension and creates arguments and bickering. And sometimes the tension gets too high that some people say some things that they regret later on. And money is a touchy thing. I understand that money is a touching thing because it affects our way of life. You have a mortgage, you're paying a rent, it affects your car payments. If you have children, it affects your way of life with your children. They are going to school, what extracurricular activities they can participate in. So this affects you to a very high degree. And the stress sometimes just keep piling up over and over and over. I seen one guy, one of my clients, he had so much stress on him for owing back taxes. This is one of the things you really don't want to get out of control, is owing back taxes. And there was so much stress that when he went to the mailbox, he hated to see those letters coming in. And it would do something to his insides. He would get so much stress and he would feel so sick because he knew the bill was super high and he wasn't making any payments, trying to figure out how he can make these payments. And the stress level not only affected him, but it affected his wife. And if it affected the husband and wife, guess who ultimately suffer? If you have children now, the children also suffer. They feel the stress. And sometimes it's not fair for them to feel that type of stress, but they do. So try to make sure you get that high debt under control. Another thing, there's one-sided spending. And I've seen this a lot and I've been accused, or I can say, been accused of doing this sometimes, making a decision to purchase items that the other partner or your spouse doesn't necessarily agree to. Say, for instance, you want to get a ski boat, just say a boat, and you say, well, I want this boat, and I'm going to go get it. And your spouse like, no, we don't need a boat. He said, I've been wanting a boat all of my life. And you go off and make a big purchase, whether they agree with it or not. That's one-sided spending. Or your wife may say, well, I want to go on a shopping spree. I need to upgrade my wardrobe. I need to throw some things away. I also need to get my hair done professionally, my nails done, toes done, things of that nature. And all of that can create a lot of expenses. And I see a lot of people are actually doing surgeries as well. And I said, well, I'm caring about myself. I'm not really worried about the other spouse because I need to do things that make me happy. And it usually costs thousands of dollars, and it's called one-sided spending without taking into consideration what the other person may feel, or take their feelings into consideration of what it may, how it may affect them. And how many have been guilty of doing that? I know I have. And that's one thing, you don't want to see your spouse disappointed or under the stress, like, oh, they don't really care about me. They don't care about my opinion. They don't care about my decision, because if you're married, it's not one decision, it's two now. You're no longer one, you're becoming two. So it's good for couples to come together as one and make, especially those big money decisions. And it's up to you to decide, what are the big money decisions? Is it $500, $1,000? You have to figure that out. If it's over, some people may say, well, if it's over $100, we need to have a discussion before it is spent. So you need to have that discussion early on. And some people are afraid to even talk about money. They go in there and say, I don't really want to talk about it. We're scared to talk about it. They may get mad, or we try to sneak something past the other spouse. We don't want them aware of that. And so we try to sneak attack. Have you ever done that before? Try to sneak something past your spouse. You don't want them to find out because you spent something, and it probably was a considerable amount, without discussing it with them. You have to have those type of discussions to avoid those one-sided spending. So that one-sided spending, that is definitely not the key. You definitely want to try to avoid that as much as possible. Another thing, there's a imbalance in your finances. You may have one spouse that's making significantly more than the other spouse, and they bring a whole lot to the table. And sometimes that spouse is going to let you know, I'm making the big bucks, and when I say something, that was gold. And so the other spouse may feel guilty that they're not bringing in enough. They feel like they don't have a voice. And I see this a lot, especially with stay-at-home moms. And if their husband making a large income, they may feel like he may have the right to just make those one-sided spend decisions and feel like they're left out. But the financial imbalance should not be so. I'm also speaking for experience. I used to tell my wife in the past, which was a mistake, no, I'm making the most money. So if I'm making the most, I should be making the decisions. That wasn't the right thing to do. And as I grew in my marriage, now after 29 years, God had to develop my way of thinking. I had to be around, hear other positive men about what especially ones that had good marriages, or what things that they done. I know I read books, looked at different things, because I was always trying to look at ways of how can I improve my marriage. A lot of people look at how to improve their job skills, the work skills, do different things. But how about trying to improve your marital skills? How can I increase and improve myself so I can be a better asset or a better partner to my spouse? And so that's one thing I wanted to do. I'm still continually working at that. How can I be a better person so I can be a better person to my spouse? And I don't want that financial imbalance to actually be something that makes her feel inferior and make me feel more superior to her. Because we are equal in this thing and making things work. She's on my side. She's not in front of me. She's not behind me, but she's on my side. And so we work and walk through these things together. In the financial imbalance, whether whoever makes more money or not, you should make the other partner feel, or other spouse feel guilty. Sometimes they become resentful, and it shows up in your relationship. That increase arguments. There's always things to argue about. So why bring some other things in there to increase that argument? The thing you want to do is try to reduce that stress relationship in there. And I know I was looking at a report. It's by the American Institute of CPAs, and they cited that because of these certain things I just explained, 56% of married or cohabitation people who live together say they are very comfortable not comfortable talking with their partner about finances. They're not comfortable. They don't have the inability to communicate openly and honestly, and one more important thing, calmly about finances. So you need to be open. You need to be honest and calm about the finances before it just go out of control. Because you would say, well, I did. If you made a mistake, you need to speak and say, I made a mistake early on. You don't want it to fester on, okay, I'm really sorry I made this purchase without your consent. On God's side, I won't do it again. Or before you even make a purchase, say, let's talk about this. I want to make this purchase. I've been looking at our finances. And if you both agree about it, that's when you might want to make that purchase. But look at your budget that you all set together and put together. If you make the budget, make sure and you get a budgeting. Make sure the other spouse is involved. Share it with the other spouse if you're the main one. Or even better, just do it together while you put it together. Get their input, get their ideas, and that can keep down some of the dissension in money fighting matters. It comes up all the time. Especially start dealing with kids. Don't throw kids in the mix. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that's another issue to fight. Oh, well, the child should have it. No, they have enough of that. No, I want them to have all additional stuff. You know, our mothers want the best for our children, and they usually want them to have the world. But sometimes, you know, you can't give them everything. I know we want to give them everything, but some things they don't need all at once. Sometimes they need taught financial discipline as well. And usually that starts at home. I see some children go away, they don't have a clue about finance. They just know that I can just go get it, spend it. You know, if the money's out there, I just spend it. They never learn financial discipline at home. They just know when I want it, I get it, and that's how it's going to be in life. And then life teach them a hard lesson that is not that way. And if you're having some difficulty talking with your spouse, start small. Start with some small, so you don't have to start with the heavy. You know, talk about, you know, because nobody wants to be blindsided. So you may want to just talk about something like the prices of groceries. I know my wife and I did that before. I was like, dog, you're spending a whole lot of money on groceries. Yeah, I don't really go to the grocery store. I said, boy, just more and more. It don't seem like you bring home anything. So we started talking about the price of the grocery store. She said, go, come with me. So I went and started looking at some price, went to the grocery store, started looking at the price. I was like, what? What in the world is this? I said, these prices are this high? I just couldn't believe my eyes. He's like, well, you see why it's so much? See why I'm spending this amount of money and getting so few items based on the amount that I'm spending. So with me seeing with my two eyes, I was like, wow, this is something. So that was something I didn't really have to discuss with her later, or that's a subject that came up because I knew prices were high. And guess what? They have gone slightly higher since we have had that conversation. So that's one thing. Just start having those discussions about different things, and then as you start off small, you want to go into deeper subjects about, you know, your investment goals in the future. Where you would like to see your financial portfolio at? Do you just want to just live life and don't have no plan or strategy? No, you want to have a retirement strategy, a retirement plan. You may want to have some long-term savings for maybe a home, or even a dream home, or a vehicle, a dream vehicle, or something. But you need to have those discussions, be able to talk up to those. Every relationship is different, so you need to know your spouse. You don't want to throw it, that's it, don't throw it on too heavy so fast. Some people can't handle that. Some people want that. For me, I like that. Let's discuss this. Let's get it out the way. I want to hear your viewpoint. Now you hear my viewpoint. And then we need to be empathetic about how we talk to each other. We could be so rough and coarse and say, oh, that's stupid. Who want to do that? Oh, that's a crazy idea. I mean, I ever said that? I got it. Got a t-shirt as well. Those are some things I said. Those are some things we need to work through. I mean, just because they want to do things, that we just can't say that's stupid, that's dumb, you ignorant. Try to emphasize with that spouse of things they're talking about. You have that we call an empathetic spirit, and be able to listen not only just to yourself, be able to have an open mind about what the other person is saying. What is your spouse saying? What is your partner saying? Kind of keep an open mind. Some things I had to look at, my wife wanted, so I'm like, oh man, I really, in my mind, I'm thinking like that don't even sound right. That don't even sound logical. But then I had to open up my mind and see that this is possible. I know, especially with things coming like with our children, I was like, they don't really need all of that. Or they can do without that for now. She's like, now look at this. Based on the way things are, this is what they may need, this type of clothing, these type of supplies, equipment. They need it right now. And I may have to have an open mind. Okay, we discuss it. I guess that's one example. And I have an open mind. I said, okay, let's go ahead and work on that. Or we're going to do it, but we're going to do it in a different way. We may do, say, 50% of it right now and do a part of it later. So make sure that you're having an open mind, and learn to do things together. So along this journey, learn and grow together. That's what it's all about. I met my wife, we were 18. So that was 35 years ago. Been married 29 out of those of those years. So we had to really learn how to grow together and make decisions. And another good thing is have a regular financial date night. We talk about date night, but how about doing a schedule when we're going to meet and talk about our finances? I mean, you need to be having that discussion. At least I would say every week, but no less than once a month. You need to be talking about finance at a minimum once a month. If you could discuss that once a week, that would be even better before things get out of hand. Because the thing is, we don't want money to ruin your relationship. I mean, there's too many things outside in the world that can ruin your relationship. Don't let money be the thing that caused the demise of your relationship. Make sure that you're having those conversations. Make sure that you're staying empathetic. Make sure that you're keeping an open mind. And make sure you keep that communication going. And when you speak calm, be reasonable, and be honest and lay everything on the table. If you do this, I think you can work through some of those obstacles and issues. And if you're still having problems, there may be time to reach out to a professional to help make those issues a little bit better. I found out that sometimes people like to have someone that's a neutral partner, a neutral person that can give them advice about certain things to talk to for them. So you may need to reach out to that neutral party that can give some impartial advice, hear both sides of the story, hear both the spouse, both partners, and then help them decide a good direction that they want to go, because they have to ultimately make that decision. So find a good professional to talk with. You may want to talk with a marital coach. If you need that, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I know a couple that's a great marital coach that you actually can talk to. I know my brother, Maurice and Kim Johnson, they had their marital coaching business, and they've been helping couples out, mend their relationships. They definitely be a different avenue of looking at. And also, if you continue to have issues with your finances, definitely feel free to reach out to me, Milton Johnson, your financial coach. Hopefully, we could build that bridge. If there's the divide, let's bring that thing in together. You can reach me. There's a link like a chain. Click on that. Go to contact. You can actually access, set an appointment time, or give me a call or text at my number. And you can also set an appointment on there. He said, well, I don't want to do that. You can also DM me and reach out, because I want to make sure you get the help that you needed, because I want your relationship to stay strong. I want it to stay vital, not only for you, but for your children and your children's children, because they're looking at your relationship, and a lot of children base their relationship based on what they see at home. So God bless. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow, and you have a wonderful and joyful rest of the evening. Bye-bye.